Hey, Bougie Gang, what's going on? It's freezing outside. Oh my God. Is it just the whole entire wind chill, crazy cold weather for everybody across the country? Because it's cold in North Carolina. Well, there's not even a temperature. It just says weather alert just issued. Jesus help us. Baby. Ooh, is it still 22? Oh, it's a whole 26. Oh, girl, it's getting hot. It was 22 earlier. Now it's 26. It's 24 in Arkansas. It's snowing in Florida, baby. 2025 is not playing with us. 2025 said, you thought 2024 did something? Baby. 2025 is getting ready to act fearful. Okay, snow in Louisiana. What's going on? Guys, what's going on? 2025 is like, damn. 2025 is, you know what's going to happen? There's going to be a baby explosion. There's going to be an explosion of babies because there's nothing to do but stay home and get real comfortable and be, it is officially cuffing season. The holidays are over, so any of you cheapos out there who didn't want to buy something for someone, now you can go cuff in peace. And any of you scammers out there can try to get somebody's tax check. Okay, it's tax check, green card, cuffing season. It's too cold. Let me tell you something. I saw somebody on Facebook yesterday with their pajamas on, a robe, and a blanket. Talk about it's too cold to get. It's too cold to get dressed. I'm not cheap. I'm frugal. Okay, real paralegal. You shouldn't be opening up your pocket anyway. Okay, that is not for us to open our pockets. Okay. It's the men folk out there or your boo thing, whatever your boo thing might be, it's not our job to open our pockets. Okay, guys, I made Chef's Choice today and I said, let's watch The Detective since a lot of you guys are really trying to learn a lot and absorb a lot about what's going on with Naziah Harris. I felt like, okay, we watched the mom and the granddaughter, the mom and the auntie. We watched the baby mom and the fiance, even though that got deleted by YouTube. We watched the auntie of Cordell's baby, the sister of Cordell's baby mom and Jarvis's sister, right? There's so many other people, and we saw the we saw the substitute teacher. We saw Cordell. We've watched a little bit. Low key, we've watched a little bit, but there was like 23 witnesses, and we've probably seen 9. So maybe not 9 altogether. Has it been 9? 2, 3. So maybe 8. Yeah, 8. We saw Cordell. We saw the substitute teacher. We saw Shannon and Annette. We saw the sister of the baby mom in Ypsilanti. We saw Jarvis's sister. We saw the baby mom and the fiance. We've seen a few. I want to talk about Shannon Jones. Shannon Jones is the one who ends up reading all of the receipts of the text messages, but I don't know if we'll get that far today. But I wanted to hear from the lead detective, basically her lay out how they got to Jarvis and when they questioned him and all that stuff. That's something that we did not watch together. And I just, if you are watching on Facebook, if you're even watching on YouTube, there's so much going on, and I just enjoy it wherever you're watching it. but I'm trying to stick with the facts of the case as I am watching the news, trying to get as much factual information and really sticking with the sources, that I feel like are this that I feel I'm gonna just say I can't bring every rumor and every speculation, and I'm not gonna. I'm just not. Also, um, just so you guys know, so when they found a dead body, we had someone in our chat tell us this, that it was someone that they knew, but it was confirmed the remains that they found like a week or two ago, that has nothing to do with this case. I'm gonna say it like that. I don't even want to attach her name to it. It has nothing to do with this case. That person was identified and has nothing to do with this case, right? But there's so much, girl, so many side stories. If we there's so much going on Facebook related to Naziah Harris missing, shenanigans, all kinds of foolishness, family drama, infighting, I mean, so much. I don't even, I mean, trust me, I'm watching, but I'm not gonna bring it to this channel. You know what I'm saying? If we talked about it, I just don't want to muddy the facts of the case, because you guys know, when we cover a case, we're covering it, we're covering it. But if there's something to talk about, yes, but there's no way to fully talk about the shenanigans outside of and the drama and the case. It's just no way. And so there's a lot, but I can't even begin to really talk to you guys about it because it's so much. Um, you guys can keep sending me what you want to send me, and I'm happy to look at it. But that, just because I'm looking at it doesn't mean that I'm going to report on it, if that makes sense, right? I'm in the know. Trust me, I'm in the know of what's going on. But there's plenty of places to go check out the foolishness, the shenanigans. It's really on some foolishness, shenanigans, drama, and what's actually really going on, right? And there's also, it's unfortunate, but there's a little bit of, and I mean, this happens a lot on the internet, so it's not just indicative of this case. But if you hadn't been here since day one, your credibility is no good, um, type thing. And that's okay if that's how people feel, and people can follow who they want to follow for the case. If that's how people feel, or you don't live in a certain part of the country, so you won't be able to understand, or you don't know, or you're not bringing it, that's okay too. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, and I feel like I've said this every day whenever we talk about this case, um, number one, people who do videos, Facebook, YouTube, you don't turn on your go live, or you don't post videos for nobody to watch, and you don't have any control over where the algorithm is going to take your content. So if your content isn't meant for people all over the globe, all over the country to see, I don't know what to tell you. This is definitely a regional story, but it's not a regional thing that only happens in one city or one state. You know, that wouldn't be fair for that city and state, right? This is something that happens all over the world. That's why people are interested. And she's a beautiful young lady. And I think the story resonates because there's a lot of survivors of family trauma, and there's a lot of survivors of this type of crime. And there are people who unfortunately have family members who've gone missing or have lost their lives. So this story resonates with a lot of people. And there are people out here who would love for their missing, exploited, lost, murdered family member to be getting this much coverage. Okay. So there's a case out here. I'm sure there's multitude of cases of people who wish that uh the internet would gain some interest to kind of try to revitalize or put some heat under law enforcement to help um bring a case, bring some resolution. But the good news with this case specifically is that Jarvis does have charges. Jarvis is going to court on March 3rd, and that justice is in progress. So those are some good things. Now, as far as Shannon and Annette, hey, how are you? Shouts out to everybody on Facebook. Um, Now, people are pissed at the grandmother, and I need to find that video. I know where it is. We might try to show it before we get up out of here, or I might just do a separate post where they are in the process of getting, where Annette and Shannon are in the process of getting the kids. I know y'all have seen it, but I need it on my channel, just because Annette is getting the kids ready for school. She's cussing out one of the kids because one of the kids went and put on a too small jacket, and then cussing the kids out before they say morning prayer. I mean, I was not even surprised. Annette is that type of female. She's just that girl. She cussed the kids slap out. If it just wasn't so sad, it was, I mean, this is the lady who's got chains on her refrigerator. So anyway, let's get into it, guys. I want to hear from the detective, so we can hear from Detroit Police Detective Shannon Jones, specifically from a officer in charge perspective, how she is laying out the case to the prosecutor, so we can hear, because I know we've had a lot of unanswered questions. I still want to know, where was her backpack? Did they verify if she ever went home? I know they say she didn't go home, but did she stop at the house? Did she change her clothes? Did they find her school computer? Was it only the school tablet? She might have just had a tablet for school. Every city is different. Some kids high schoolers sometimes have computers. The kids may have tablets. I don't know. I know for us here, after third grade, they get Chromebooks, but every city's different. So she seemed to have a school issued tablet. If the tablet was, where did they get the tablet, or did they just download from the cloud? There's just some questions that I don't know. And I don't know if all of those have been discussed. Also, there's just, listening to this was information overload. So when I listened to it the first time, I was really, now it's more like listening for information, and just trying to hear and unwind, and you know understand more of the story, right? It was hard to watch. I don't send kids out into the world with a girl. Yeah, but people do. She's ghetto like that. I'm not going to say she didn't mean any harm, but I think Annette is a very particular type female, and that's not you. None of Most decent women, most decent moms, caregivers, aunties, grannies, all of that would not do such a thing. But Annette, okay. So let's get into it, guys. Right here, they're identifying Jarvis's email tied to this picture on his Facebook profile, and it's still up, but we're not doing that right now. Let's just get into Shannon Jones. She'll be up in just a second. But that's Jarvis's profile on
Yes.
Facebook.
Okay.
So this person coming up is Detective Shannon Jones. She is the OIC, the officer in charge. And you'll know her from the next day, where she had on a blue button-down shirt, and she gave the testimony and read all the text messages into the record. Here she comes. There she go.
Yes.
Good afternoon, and could you please state your name for the record?
Shannon Jones.
And how are you employed?
I'm a sergeant with the City of Detroit Police Department.
And are you assigned to a special unit or division?
Yes,
And what is that?
I'm assigned to homicide, missing persons unit.
And how long have you been employed in that role?
I've been at missing persons since 2013,
And before that, where were you at?
patrol.
Okay, and how long were you there?
I've been on the department for a total of 24 years.
Okay.
So throughout the prior years to missing persons, I had various assignments.
And what is your role in this case?
I'm the officer in charge.
What does it mean to be an officer in charge?
So I'm in charge of reviewing all the evidence and spearheading the investigations, looking into all the facts and possible suspects and information that's brought to the case and to compile it together.
And what would be some common duties that you would do in partaking in those roles?
When it comes to missing persons, specifically those type of cases,
Yes.
so a missing person case, when someone's reported missing, we always go out to the home, search the home, talk to family and try to get a good timeline of when that person was last seen, their common habits, where they are supposed to be, has any patterns changed, are they not going to school and not going to work? If the investigation leads us to believe that that person may be in danger or that there's something more to just not coming home, then we start pulling different video and try to look into cell phone data or friends or associates of that specific missing.
And in particular, have you investigated what would be known as a no body case before?
Yes,
Okay, and what does it mean to be a no body case?
that would be a missing person that we have come to the conclusion is a victim of a homicide. However, we were unable to locate or recover the body.
Okay, and how does that kind of investigation differ, if at all, from another investigation that you would do?
It's a little tougher. You need to go through and kind of be able to show and establish that this person is no longer with us today. When you have a body, it's obvious, then you can come to the conclusion and work your case that way. So on a no body case, you're trying to find any signs of life, any evidence to show that there might have been some possible danger or some assault that may have happened to this person.
Now, I'm sorry, when did you get the case of Ms. I. Harris?
So it was first requested to me on February 12th. I received the email. It was just kind of asked me to look into the case. It wasn't at our building yet or at our department. I looked into the case when I saw that DPS was initially assigned the case, and I had reached out to Lieutenant Harris from DPS to kind of ask for an update on where they were, kind of see how the case was progressing and any evidence that they may have had.
Okay. So after that, how did it come about that you got this case?
So after meeting and discussing with Lieutenant Harris and reviewing the different things, it was determined that there had been enough suspicious possible things connected to her being gone. Number one, she's never been missing before. There's been no updates on any of her social media, which is very uncommon for a young child or juvenile. They're addicted to those. There had been a last known contact that she had possibly met somebody, is what we were informed, that there was a text message for her to be picked up, and that would have been the same day that she went missing.
So when you first officially received this case, I mean, what is it that you do right off the bat?
So this case was a little different because we kind of had to go back. We were already a month behind. She went missing January 9th, and now it's February 12th. We start kind of looking into what has already been done and then what steps I would normally take moving forward.
Okay. So what kind of steps do you take moving forward?
So once I reviewed the case and it was determined.
Okay, guys, take a minute. Look at your screen. This is Detective Shannon Jones, and this is January 8th. We are at the preliminary exam that happened 2 weeks ago. Okay, just so everybody's on the same page. This is not today. This happened. There's a banner on the screen. just so we can know. If you maybe anyone who comes in, you might have seen this already. I have not watched this, guys, with you. I have not watched this with you guys. I watched this about a week ago, and I'm watching it again because we're following the case, and I'm curious. And I feel like sometimes you watch a whole entire day of testimony, like it just becomes information overload. Okay. So that's why we're taking it bit by bit, a few testimonies at a time. We may not even go through all 23 witnesses. We've gone through 8 witnesses so far. This will be the 9th witness that we've seen, and we're not even going in order. If anyone out there wants to go in order, it's posted like on Fox, it's posted on Click on Detroit, it's posted with the judge on her YouTube channel. But we're not going in order. Okay. So if that's gonna aggravate some people because it needs to be a certain way, that's okay. You can watch that on the news channels. I wanted to hear specifically just from Detective Jones today, to hear her version of what Detroit police is saying is the story, right? Because there's so much out here. So but yeah, this is on January 9th. I saw a couple people asking, so I just wanted to take a minute right now. I'm going to interrupt minimally because I want to hear the story too, and I know that some of you guys have not even heard this yet. I haven't seen that. Okay, cool. We just got started, so you guys have not missed much, okay? Welcome, everybody. Take a minute, tap on the like button for me. I so appreciate it. And let's get back into it. I wonder what did he do to her? Yeah, we don't know. We're gonna find out one day. I'm hopeful of that. It's just a matter of right place, right time, and just send look. I know people wish Naziah well. So whatever, at the end of the day, somebody will show up. Somebody will be in the midst. Somebody will be out doing something, and someone will stumble over or find or locate. And, you know, what's done in the dark will always come to the light. So it'll happen. I think as long as everyone has that wish and hope for her to be found, it will happen. So just kind of have to keep moving in a positive direction. There's always that random person that happens to see something, find something, and so it'll come up. The evidence will manifest so that someone can be in the right place at the right time so that she can be located, whatever that's going to mean. Okay, let's get back into it. Okay, guys.
Determined that the last person that had contact with Naziah was Jarvis Butts. I then started to look into his phone records, his activity, places that he had been. On the 12th, we had determined there was already an analyst that had looked at different records and given us a location out in Ypsilanti. So I coordinated a search for the very next day on February 13th. We went out to Ypsilanti. We conducted the search. It's a large area, and it wasn't pinpointed down to a specific house. There was a lot of wooded area over there. We had multiple teams out there. There was probably over 60 people at one point. We then started going into different businesses to look for different video that we may be able to recover close to the intersection that we believed would be a good starting point in that search area.
And did you recover, or were you able to recover anything or find anything from the Ypsilanti area?
We did find some video that was eventually pulled from a gas station.
And what was, I guess, the condition of that video?
So the video is from a gas station. It shows the intersection, I believe it's Michigan and Carpenter, which is actually, I think that is like a Springfield township. It's kind of like a little small city just outside of Ypsilanti. At that point, we didn't know exactly what we're looking for, so we just kind of pulled like the window that we knew the devices were out there. specifically Jarvis Butts device that was out there. So we kind of just pull all of that video before we lose it. And then as we gather more information, we can kind of go back and look at the video to see if there's something now that we can focus in on what we should look for.
Okay. Now that brings up a good point. You said you're a month behind on this investigation.
Yes,
So that fair to say being a month behind would cause you to potentially lose critical pieces of evidence.
yes,
Okay. And some of those pieces of evidence, fair to say, could be videos.
correct.
Okay. Why would it be that you would be losing those videos?
So most video systems and every business is different. You got green light, you have businesses and people that have their own residential cameras or property cameras. And it'll vary. Some of them start overwriting in 48 hours. Some of them is a week. Some may last up to a month. It just depends on how large their system is and how much data it can hold.
And is that a struggle that you encountered in this case?
Yes.
And where is it that you encountered that?
So there's several cameras and videos throughout the entire route of travel that later in the investigation we were able to identify. But as we identified those locations and went to see if video was still able to be there, it had already been overwritten or was not available.
Now, I want to take you back. You did the search in Ypsilanti. Did you do any other searches kind of immediately at that time?
Yes.
Tell me about one of them. We're going to go through them, but start with one of them.
Okay. So after we didn't find anything in Ypsilanti, I kind of got to go backwards a little bit and go back to who we had known was the last contact with her, which was Mr. Butts. So we did a search warrant for his home. Later, I believe it was like later that night, 13th into the 14th, we had kind of worked all the way through. We did a search warrant to obtain his cell phone so we could try to do an extraction. We contacted the jail to look through his property. There was no cell phone in the property. We then ordered the jail calls to see if there was any conversations, anybody that he had talked to. We knew that he had turned himself in on February 7th. As we started to listen to those jail calls, there was a call where he had asked his shop partner, Cordell Wright, to retrieve a phone out of a vehicle. We then went and picked up Mr. Wright and brought him down to our headquarters to talk to him about the cell phone. He did confirm and he acknowledged the phone call. He said that vehicle came up there, was a Tahoe, Tashi's vehicle, Tashiana, and that he had looked in the back seat and tried to find where the phone was that Mr. Butts kind of described where he had hid it in this vehicle. He said that he was unable to locate it. So at that point, we then did a workup on Tashiana to find out where she lived, what type of vehicle she had. It matched the description that he kind of described. We did a search warrant for her home in an attempt to locate the cellular device and any other possible evidence that may help us and direct us to where Nizaya is.
Okay, so I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. You started off with you went to do a search warrant at Mr. Butts' home.
Yes,
And would that be the one on Wilshire?
yes,
Okay. And did you find anything at his house?
yes.
And what is it that you found?
So from his home, we had recovered, there were some electronic devices. We recovered some phones, maybe a tablet, and we recovered his ID, wallet, and a firearm that was with his wallet. But there was 2 actual firearms, and then there was a long gun, a rifle that was in the closet.
And did that search warrant include a vehicle?
Yes,
And what kind of vehicle did it include?
it included all vehicles that we believe may be associated. At that time, we impounded a Cadillac Escalade.
Now, you said at that point you knew that Mr. Butts had turned himself in to, is it the Wayne County Jail?
Yes,
And is that was back on February 7th of 2024?
correct.
And at that time, did you know how long he was serving a sentence for?
We had got information that he was possibly going to be there till December.
And that would be completely unrelated to that sentence is completely unrelated to your investigation.
Yes,
And then you said that you had pulled some jail calls, and that's what led you to Cordell Wright.
correct.
And that that jail call that you had listened to that was previously admitted as People's Exhibit 1.
Yes,
And that led you to Tashiana Davis.
correct.
And then you subsequently executed a search warrant at her house.
Correct.
And is that on Neff Street?
Yes,
And she had a vehicle there that matched the description that Cordell Wright had given you.
yes,
Okay. And would that have been a Chevy Suburban?
yes,
Okay. And then you subsequently searched that vehicle.
yes.
And what is it that you found in that vehicle?
I found in that vehicle a iPhone 11, and it was in the exact area that Mr. Butts had described to his shop partner Cordell, where it would be located.
And that phone, okay, so ultimately, after you do that, what's the next step that you took?
Well, we had to identify that was the actual correct phone. It was in the right place, but we still needed to get it to our headquarters and download it. We had the phone there. We made a call to 911 from that phone in order to see what the identification number was to try to verify, so we weren't just taking random phones. It did come back to Jarvis Butts' phone number that we were looking for. The phone was then placed on evidence and taken to our base.
And what's the next thing that you did after that?
So after that, the phone now is getting processed under the search warrant.
Okay.
It is given to, was given to Detective Markle, where she processed that. We then continued, we had searched the residence on Wilshire, we had searched Neff, we also executed a search warrant at 9,000 Connor.
And what's 9,000 Connor?
9,000 Connor is the location that was identified that Jarvis Butts worked at with his shop partner.
And did you find anything or anything at 9,000 Connor?
We did take some things as evidence. There was a lot of activity going on. So I had multiple different units from within our homicide squad assisting me with different search warrants that we were executing. I believe it was the Northeast squad actually executed the Connor location search warrant. They were advised of some items to look for, obviously children's clothing. We had been given a description of a Rugrats jacket with a fur hood. We were given the clothing description. At that time, we were told that the shoes were possibly blue and white Nike shoes that we had been looking for. There was an area in the shop, as I reviewed the evidence, photos where there's like children's coloring books and maybe things that when the children are there that they're using.
Were any interviews besides the one with Cordell Wright taking place at this time?
So at that time, I had interviewed, when we went to Wilshire, we had interviewed the woman that he lives with. I don't know if that's a fiance or girlfriend, but that was Miss Angel. We interviewed her there. Tashiana was in the hospital when we had executed the search warrant at her house. I had had a conversation with her on the phone while we were there. Her children were there. I scheduled an interview for her later. I believe it might have been like the next day or two later that she came down to headquarters. We had interviewed Cordell at that time. And now we're just kind of going through everything that we had at that moment to try to take the next steps.
Okay. When about is Mr. Butts interviewed for the first time?
So he was interviewed, we got it, looked at it on the 12th, the 13th, we executed all the search warrants. On the 14th, Mr. Butts, I believe it was the 14th, he was brought down to headquarters, or the 15th, I would have to look.
Okay, and that's okay. So it would be just a couple days after you get the case.
Yeah.
Okay. Based on Mr. Butts' first interview, which your Detective Mays here testify about, did you do anything based off of that interview?
So based on that interview, we had obtained the text now, which was turned over to us from DPS, which was the initial, I believe it was like maybe 1 week's worth of text now. So like the very end of December into the 1st of January. So during that interview was when it was asked by Detective Mays and Detective Johnson regarding the text message about meeting to be picked up.
Now, if you know, can you estimate about how many search warrants did you execute?
Probably over 20. And throughout the entire, it has to be over 20.
And what kind of searches were done in this case in general?
So we searched as far as like land searches,
All kinds.
all kinds. Well, we searched Ypsilanti as we did our workup, and we're looking at different locations that Mr. Butts had been to. We identified an area out in Clinton Township that he had gone out to back and forth before. And that was an area that Shannon Harris, his child's mother, had lived at. So this was kind of like a route out there, and we located, there was like a big retention pond out there. So that was another place that we had dive teams come out. We had the helicopter, the cadaver dogs, and we searched out Clinton Township. As we start breaking down the phone mapping a little bit more on Mr. Butts' phone, it kind of led us to 7 Mile and Berg.
And what's out in 7 Mile and Berg?
So 7 Mile and Berg, there is a vacant parking lot on the southwest corner. It used to be a golf course. So the entire south side of 7 Mile from Berg and then heading back east used to be a golf course, which is now shut down. And then on the other side of Berg, there's a parking lot where it has like a vacant building, which used to be the clubhouse for the golf club. And then right behind that parking lot is the Rouge River.
And when's the first time that you get out to 7 Mile and Berg?
We went out once. It was probably maybe a couple weeks later that we went out there. We went out there once, and I remember it had snowed. So when we went out there, it wasn't as easy to search. We're kind of looking if somebody was just placed out there or if something was easily identifiable, but because of the snow, we knew that we were going to have to come back again once that melted because it'd be easier to see underneath.
Okay. And so you go out there again?
We've been out there multiple times. I've probably been out there 7, 8 times, all with various dive teams. We searched the complete river from 8 Mile all the way down past 96 on foot with cadaver dogs, in boats, in the water. There's several log jams. We had state police actually had their helicopter fly the entire route so we could GPS all the log jams. We had to coordinate with specialized teams to come in to help cut these log jams apart, which go throughout the river. And then throughout the season, obviously we had some rain, so the water goes up and down, which now brings the debris onto the land. So you have to actually search the land a couple hundred feet in some places that the water has pulled debris. We searched the homes, as I said, searched the vehicles.
So when you're out there at 7 Mile and Berg, do you have an idea of what you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the idea of what you're looking for?
So initially when we were out there, again, we had the clothing description. We had the picture of her that she had sent that night or that day that she went missing on the 9th. So we were looking for the black hoodie. We were looking for, again, initially we were told blue and white gym shoes.
Now, is there a time where that changes?
Yes.
Okay. And what is it that makes that change?
So as we go out to areas and search, when we leave, a lot of times large community groups may go out there, right? And they saw that we were at 7 and Berg, and I know people come out there to help. There was a group that had been out there and they were recording, and they saw a pair of Nike shoes, which were the red and black. We were alerted of those on our initial search. It's documented in our river search report. But because we weren't focused on the red and black and we were looking for blue and white Nike shoes. We left them there, but we did GPS the coordinates.
Stop.
Stop there. That would have been Border Patrol Agent Wyatt Barnes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, sorry guys. The minute that I hit the unmute button, Lambo jumps on me. Anyway, this is one thing I wanted to talk about real quick. So they were focused on a different color tennis shoe. How is it so for a month they have a certain color, you know, the color palette for some Nike like low dunks, white and blue, when she clearly had on white, black, and red? It's like on top of the missing person versus we think she was with so and so and she never came home. It's like the misinformation that was given to the police to really hinder the investigation. So they saw her shoes, but they didn't think those were her shoes because that wasn't the shoe description. But keep in mind, this is like a month after she's gone missing. When did they realize like what Naziah actually really had on that day? You know what I'm saying? Like it mattered because they found a huge clue in that area. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like they overlooked a clue initially because it didn't fit the description of the shoe that they were looking for. But when does the grandmother, who's in the place of a mother, do even just a once over to see, okay, I know she's got 15 pairs of shoes or 10 pairs of shoes or however many pairs, 2 pairs of shoes. Oh, it wasn't the blue and whatever. It was the white, black, and reds. It was the, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the misinformation, right? They're already a month behind because you called it to the school officers and they thought she was just another runaway kid, which I can't believe they didn't put the gas on that either. Like, okay, missing kid is important too. Let's try to find this missing kid. Anyway, I don't know. Let's keep listening. I just feel like listening to this is really beneficial because this is what the police have. This is what the this is what the police have regarding the case, and this is what the prosecution is using to move forward with the case, right? Anything that we think or hear outside of what the police officers are going to present and give to the prosecution, that won't be in the case. You know what I'm saying? So hearing, I'm sure Detective Jones to me seems like the type she might pull up and say, look, when did you realize, or have you looked at Naziah's clothes since she's been gone? When did you realize like it was a different pair of shoes? I guess we're going to hear that in a minute. Let's keep going.
You heard his testimony.
Yes.
All right. Continue.
Yeah. So on our initial search, we knew they were out there. The pink hoodie was identified, but we didn't collect them because, again, we didn't have anything about a pink hoodie or a pink onesie, and the shoes weren't matching. And there's a lot of clothing out there. There's a lot of shoes out there. There's people's clothes. There's all type of debris. So I can't collect every single piece of clothing and article that we find. Later, I get the information that as the search team is out there, they had called 911 because they saw these shoes. And they posted a picture of these shoes somewhere or sent it to Naziah's brother. Naziah's brother then reached out to me and he sent me a picture of Naziah wearing the black and white Nike shoes.
Okay.
Once I saw she had the exact same shoes on that are depicted, that were described out there, I knew immediately where to go. I gathered.
And that's probably the picture that was on Instagram. So that there's a picture, there might be two, but specifically one, it was like it was like a birthday countdown type picture. I did a little video of it. That picture that's on her Instagram was a countdown for her birthday. It was like a birthday clock. And it said something like my big day. And she had on kind of like either like a red jumpsuit or a red two-piece with the black, white, red low dunks. And yeah.
A couple members of my team, and we immediately went back out to where the shoes were GPS located and recovered the shoes as we were there, that's when we found the black hoodie, and then the pink jumpsuit that had been laid out by Agent Wyatt.
Okay. Now, as it relates to those red and black Nike shoes, you had a photo that they were associated with Neziah in some way. Did you ever end up asking Annette to see if those shoes were still in Neziah's possessions?
Yes.
Okay. And did you ever end up recovering those pairs from Annette?
No.
So after you recover the
Wait, what was that question? I wonder if the police feel like that Annette and Shannon are considered to be cooperative. Are they considering them persons of interest a little bit just because of the low key lying here and there, or the low key dragging their ass to give information about a child missing?
those shoes were still in Neziah's possessions?
Yes.
Okay. And did you ever end up recovering those pairs from Annette?
No.
So after you recover the pink jumpsuit, the black hoodie, the shoes, what do you do with them?
Those are all, well, the evidence techs collect them. They're placed on evidence. Those items were wet, so I had to wait, obviously, for them to dry. Once they're ready to be processed and they're finished drying, then I create a lab report.
I heard from some actual Detroit people, actual Michigan people, there are no like, I don't know what's going on. I know that there are some people talking some stuff. It's not Florida or deep, like, I don't know, places where there are gators, let's say like the deep, deep South, deep swamp country, like Louisiana, maybe parts of Mississippi, Alabama, places where it's very hot and there's those type of swampland where you would find that does not exist in Detroit. There could be random one-offs where people let them out, but I don't think that they would survive. So, you know what I'm saying? There's that predator that is not known to survive or live or be common. So no, I don't think that's not a possibility in the state of Michigan. I'm just going to go out on a limb as someone who lives in North Carolina. I'm just going to go on a limb and say I don't think that particular predator lives in Michigan. So no, there's plenty of other wildlife and things like that are opportunistic feeders out there. If there is something available for them to eat, they don't discriminate. But gators, no.
Items are selected and turned over to the state police lab for processing to look for any type of DNA evidence.
Okay, so once those are placed on evidence by the lab tech, you're the one who then submits them to Michigan State Police.
Yes.
Okay.
There may be some of the lab reports where I had gathered the evidence and one of my partners had gone down and physically took the items to the lab, which is all in the same building.
Now, I believe you said at least one time when you were out at 7 Mile and Bury that it had been snowing. Were you at all, I guess, familiar with kind of the weather back? Let's start with back in January 9th.
Yeah, so I searched it. There's a weather site where you can search the dates in the cities and what the weather was like. On the 9th into the 10th, it had rained here. If you remember, we had a very mild winter. In 2024, the January months, we had a lot of rain that month, which would have caused, the water levels to rise.
Oh. Now, is there, did you interview a Tijuana Butts.
Yes.
Tell me how that came about.
Tijuana actually reached out to me. Shannon Harris had reached out to me. She had had a conversation with Tijuana. She asked if it was okay for her to give her my phone number. I told her that that was fine. She gave me a call. She said that she was the sister of Jarvis Butts and that she was concerned that she may have seen Isaiah but wasn't sure on the date and if she could come down and talk.
Okay, and that's all what she had testified to that you had heard.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you also heard that she had given Detroit police consent to look at her phone locations and perform a phone extraction,
Yes.
and that Detective Sarah Markle is actually the one who performed that extraction.
Yes.
Did you yourself look at the phone location data that was on Tijuana's phone?
Yeah, so even before we extracted the phone, when she was in there in the interview, she had given me consent to look at her phone. She wasn't quite sure how to get to the locations. She had Google on her phone. So we went to the Google Maps, went to her timeline, and then specifically clicked on January 9th to see if it showed her route. When we got to the January 9th date, it was confirmed that that is the date that she was at 9,000 Connor. And it helped us with the timeline of when she was there compared to when we know Mr. Butts left that location to head out to Ypsilanti on the 9th.
And Your Honor, may I approach people's proposed exhibit 85?
Yes.
I mean 58. Sorry.
Yes, numbers.
Can you mark people's proposed exhibit 58? Can you look at that and tell me if you recognize it?
Yes, this is a Cellbrite extraction report that was conducted by Detective Markle for Tijuana Butts cellular device.
Okay, and that report specifically includes the location data in the subsequent pages as it relates to Ms. Butts' phone. Is that fair?
Yes,
Okay, and is that fair and accurate depiction of the screenshot photo locations, location data from Tijuana Butts' phone that you observed that the day when you interviewed her?
yes,
I would say mission people supposed to exhibit 58.
No objection.
This is BMS People's 58.
And I want to direct you to I guess it's going to be page 3 of the report, both 4 of the report. Page 5. Where does it say that Ms. Butts was from 3:45 p.m. to 5:16 p.m.?
so it gives the location described as, on here it says Citgo, and it gives the address of 9,000 Connor Street, Detroit, Michigan, 48213.
And do you know do you know if Mr. Butts's 9,000 Connor auto shop to be connected with a gas station?
Yes,
Now, to go back just a little bit, you said you were kind of going through all the phone mapping in order to kind of backtrack as to where your investigation goes and where you should search.
yes,
And those maps were testified to by Sergeant O'Rourke.
yes,
Okay. Now, she mapped certain locations, and she stated that you had given her some of those locations to map.
correct.
Now, I want to direct you to in People's Exhibits 33, 34. Here, may I go? The blue dot here. What is it that indicates, and what is the importance of that?
This blue dot is going to be 9,000 Connor.
Okay. And that's the address associated with Mr. Butts auto shop.
Yes,
And is that the same for exhibit 34?
yes.
And exhibit 35, there's the same blue dot and then a purple dot. Tell me, what is the significance of the purple dot?
The purple dot is going to be the residence that Mr. Butts resides at on Wilshire.
And in exhibit 36, on page 2, there's like another, it's like a pinkish kind of purple dot. Can you tell me what is, oh, I'm sorry, red dot. What does the red dot indicate?
The red dot is going to identify 20,000 Harper, which was the Park Crest Motel.
And on page 4 of 4, there's a lighter purple dot along with that red dot. What does the purple dot indicate?
That dot is going to indicate 4 East Alexandrine.
Okay, and what's the significance of 4 East Alexandrine?
Mr. Butts has a different girlfriend that lives at that location.
And in People's 38, there's a red dot. Which dot is that?
That would identify 7 Mile and Berg.
And is that the same 7 Mile and Berg? You tell me. What was found at 7 Mile and Berg area again?
7 Mile and Berg area is where we identified the hoodie, the pink jumpsuit, and the shoes. And it's also the area that Mr. Butts' phone was mapping with. There's an additional search area that I did not include when she had asked me before. And that was where the ID was found. We had found the ID or received the 911 call for the ID before we went back the second time out for the shoes at 7 Mile and Berg. So we had also searched all the Evergreen. There's the Henry Ford High School over there. We searched behind the school, the wooded areas, and all the vacant homes in that surrounding as well.
And that would have been the ID that Miss Smith had recovered.
Yes.
Now I want to go into, you had a chance to go through Mr. Butts' phone extraction, is that fair?
Yes.
And did you also do a search warrant as it relates to a Google account for Mr. Butts?
Yes.
Okay. And how was it that you knew what his Google Gmail was?
That was documented when I went to the cell phone.
And you got a chance to go through, you sent a search warrant to Google for it, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you got a chance to go through that search warrant return?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the search, or that's the Gmail account that would be associated with Mr. Butts.
Correct.
And Anna Maria Portugal proposed to give it 63.
Yes.
Any of Mark people proposed to give it 63. Can you tell me, do you recognize what it is I just handed you?
Yes, this contains Jarvis Butts 82 at gmail.com, which was his Google subscriber information.
And that's the first page. And the second page is, what would those include?
The next page includes searches that I located inside that Google return that we received from Google.
Okay. And does that document fairly and accurately depict what it is you received back from Google as it relates to a search warrant for Jarvis Butts 82 at gmail.com?
Yes.
And I move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit. I forgot. 63.
Any objection?
No objection.
To be admitted as people 63?
Okay. I want to go back to the first page and use it with the subscriber information. Tell me, who is the subscriber?
So it has a Google account ID number, then it gives a name that says Jarvis Butts. It has an email address, jarvisbutts82@gmail.com. There's also a phone number that's connected to it, which is 313-585-8719.
And is there a birthday associated with that?
Yes, November 21st, 1982.
And moving on to the searches, what dates do those searches encompass?
These searches are December 9th.
Of what year?
Yep, December 9th, 10th, and 11th of 2023.
Okay. And it's fair to say that those are the entirety of all of the searches from those days.
It is not all of them, no.
Those are just select ones from the Google return.
Yes.
Starting with December 9th, tell me which ones that we have in that exhibit.
So the first, you want me to read the ones that are just highlighted, or you want me to start at the top of here? So,
The ones that are highlighted.
okay.
Just start with the ones that are highlighted.
Yep, so this search was December 9th, 2023 at 3:32 UTC time. So you would actually have to subtract 5 hours, which would make it the night of December 8th. And the site is, what's visited, it's Drink Me and Abort Your Baby, the Herbal Abortion Tea by Maya.
And what about the next one after that?
There is a site that's visited on December, it says here December 10th, 2023 at 9:32 p.m. UTC, so -5. And the site visited is plannedparenthood.org/learn/abortion/the abortion pill.
And
The
the
next
next
search is immediately after that, so December 10th at 9:32 p.m. UTC, the abortion pill, get the facts about medication abortion. There is a search that was conducted before that on December 10th, 2023 at 9:31 p.m. UTC. And that site is plannedparenthood.org/blog/can I use herbs to have an abortion at home.
And the next
The
one?
next one is December 10th, 2023 at 9:31 p.m. UTC. Can I use herbs to have an abortion at home? Planned Parenthood.
And the next one?
The next one is December 10th, 2023 at 9:36 p.m. UTC. So again, -5 hours. And that site is, it's ansirh.org, research, over-counter medication abortion. Search December 10th, 2023 at 9:36 p.m. Over-the-counter medication abortion, and that's from that same place before, ANSIRH. December 10th, 2023 at 9:32. Planned Parenthood, abortion, the abortion pill. How do I have an abortion using only misoprostol, misoprostol. The next search, December 10th, 2023 at 9:32. Planned Parenthood, learn abortion, the abortion pill. So it's like the same, back and forth to the same site. On December 11th at 11:43 p.m. UTC, so minus 5 hours, specifically is searched is, can I drink red antifreeze? Again, that same item is searched again right after the same time, 11:43 on December 11th, 2023. And I believe that's it.
Okay. Now, in that phone extraction that you went through of Mr. Butts, that Detective Marple had admitted, were you able to go through, and I know you had mentioned there was the Text Now app and Text Now phone numbers that
Yes.
have been associated with Neziah.
Yes,
When you went through Mr. Butts' phone extraction, did you find any of Neziah's Text Now numbers?
yes,
Okay. And do you recall if what was on his phone? First of all, did you eventually do a search warrant for Text Now?
yes.
Okay, and did you receive messages back from Text Now?
Yes, so the initial Text Now messages, again, DPS had done those and they had only gone back like a week. I had another search warrant submitted to Text Now and requested to go back to January 1st of 2023.
Okay, and when you found these Text Now messages on Mr. Butts' phone, did those include all of the messages that you got back from Text Now, or just only parts?
It's all the messages through Text Now that were to that number that was assigned that Neziah was using on Text Now.
That's what you got back from Text Now.
Yes.
But I'm talking about on Mr. Butts' phone.
Oh, Mr. Butts' phone specifically was just the messages from Text Now between him and Neziah.
Okay, and did it include everything that you received back from Text Now, or?
No.
And Tanner, may I approach?
Yes.
Approaching with Nichols, proposed exhibits 46 and 47. Can you tell me, in exhibit 46, do you recognize what I handed you?
Yes, this is a extraction report for a iPhone. And it was for phone number account 313-585-8719. And this is the section in that extraction about messages.
Okay. And is that exhibit, proposed exhibit 46, is that a fair and accurate depiction of the messages that were on Jarvis Butts' phone between his phone number and the number 213-743-3173?
231, yes. 231.
231.
Yes.
Sorry, numbers. 231-743-3137.
Yes,
Okay. And those are the ones that you had seen on Mr. Butts' phone.
correct.
And I move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit 46.
Objection.
It'll be admitted as people was 46.
And those cover a period of October 7th, 2023 through November 23rd, 2023. Is that fair?
Yes,
Okay. And now I want to show you the proposed exhibit 47. Do you recognize what I handed you in 47?
yes, this is another extraction from the phone, and this is under the message section.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the messages that you went through on Mr. Butts' phone to the number 313-379-5882?
Yes,
And I would move the admission of people proposed exhibit 47.
No objection, Your Honor.
It'll be admitted as people was 47. Can you repeat that phone number?
313-379-5882.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that those would be from the date period of September 26th, 2022 to September 30th, 2022.
Yes.
And now I want to show you what's already been admitted as people's proposed, or people's exhibits 15 and 16. And these were already admitted. These are certified copies of text now messages. So I want to talk specifically about subscriber information within them. In People's 15, is there a subscriber as it relates?
Yes.
Okay, and who is that subscriber?
Excuse me, you need to let me hear. I can't hear you with your back turned.
So is there a subscriber as it relates to that?
Yes.
Who is that?
The username on here is Kenyatta Harris 955.
And are you familiar with the Kenyatta Harris?
Yes.
And how is it that you're familiar with her?
That is Nazia's biological mother.
And is there, on the next page, is there a phone number that is associated with that account? It might be on the subscriber information too.
Yes.
And what's that phone number?
313-379-5882.
And what is the period of usage for which the subscriber Kenyatta Harris had that phone number?
The phone ownership is from September 24, 2022 through November 8th, 2022.
And for the subscriber information in People's 16, can you tell me who was the subscriber there?
The subscriber here, the username is Nazia Harris 74.
And is there a phone number associated with that?
Yes.
What is that phone number?
231-743-3137.
And is there a phone ownership date period for that?
Yes.
What's that date period?
January 1st, 2024 to February 6th, 2024.
Okay. Are you familiar with the location of 17500 East Warren Avenue in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
And showing you People's 4, 5, and 6 already admitted. How is it that you're familiar with that location?
This is Frank's Auto Repair. It's located on Warren, right at Neff, 17500 East Warren. This is a location that Jarvis Butts worked at prior to working at 9000 Connor.
And that's in the city of Detroit, Wayne County?
Yes.
Now, did you yourself, I want to go into the interviews with Mr. Butts.
Yes.
Did you interview Mr. Butts?
Yes.
Okay. I want to start with an interview back on May 31st, 2024. Do you see the person that you interviewed in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Okay. Can you point to him, tell me the color of the clothing that he's wearing?
Yes, he's sitting behind his defense counsel. He's wearing a face mask and he has the Wayne County green jumpsuit on.
And Your Honor, would the record reflect that witnesses identified defendant Jarvis Butts? And we've been talking this whole time about a Jarvis Butts. Is that the same Mr. Butts in the courtroom today?
Yes,
Okay. Now, this interview back on May 31st, 2024, where was that at?
that was at the Wayne County Jail.
Okay. And who was all there?
Myself and Sergeant Lance Sullivan.
And do you recall about what time this interview took place?
It was in the afternoon,
Okay. Or about how long did this interview last?
like 2-3 hours.
Okay. And was Mr. Butts, did you ask him about his education and speaking English, things like that?
Yes.
And did you offer him any food or drink?
I believe at one point we had asked him about if he needed some water because we had been there a minute.
And did you read Mr. Butts his constitutional rights?
I believe Sergeant Sullivan went through those with him.
Okay. And was something used to assist in the reading of those rights?
Yes.
And Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Handing you with Smart Steel Proposed Exhibit 26. Can you tell me what it is I just handed you?
So this is the Detroit Police Department constitutional rights, advice and rights form.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the one that was executed back on May 31st, 2024 with Mr. Butts?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 26.
No objection, Your Honor.
It would be admitted as People's 26.
Thank you. And did Mr. Butts, did he sign or initial acknowledging his rights?
Yes, he read them and he initialed them and he signed.
Okay. And did he agree to speak with you too?
Yes.
Okay. And I would pass for voluntariness.
Sergeant Jones, you came to interview my client on May 31st, correct?
Yes.
It was you and you said Sergeant Sullivan.
Yes.
Were you aware he was represented by counsel at that time?
Yes.
In fact, did one of you call his counsel and ask for permission to interview him?
On that date,
Not on that date, prior to that date,
several months before, yes.
in April 17th, in fact, right?
I don't have the exact date, but it was a couple months before that.
And the words used were under no circumstances, right?
Under no circumstances.
May you interview Mr. Butts?
Well, that's not true.
You were not told you could not interview Mr. Butts?
Judge, I would object. This is a legal argument. Only the client themselves can enforce their right. A defense attorney cannot enforce their right to remain silent.
I just asked a question. Was she told not to, she couldn't interview?
So,
1 second, Mom. Were you getting ready to say something else?
And it has nothing to do with this interview.
If we're talking about voluntariness, I want to see, was she aware that he had a right to have his counsel? They contacted his counsel. His counsel told them, no, do not interview. That's my,
You're saying this had nothing to do with this interview that you're speaking
Yeah.
of?
This was 2 months prior. That was not this day. This was completely separate. And a defense attorney cannot invoke their client's right to remain silent. That's just the end of it.
It's true.
so you and your partner went to speak to Mr. Butts, correct?
yes,
You took it, where did
She
you
shut
interview
that
him
one down.
at?
at the Wayne County Jail.
Okay, did you interview him on this was at, forgive me, at Division 1,
Yes.
Beard? Did you interview him on his floor or did you take him somewhere else?
I don't know where his floor is, so Wayne County had prepared a room for us to be able to interview him.
Okay, so you took him to another room and you and your partner interviewed him
Yes,
and you gave him his constitutional rights and you did not give him food or water, correct?
correct.
You don't know what time of day this was?
Well, I just saw the form here, so I see it's about 1 in the afternoon.
Okay. Were you aware that he was working at the jail?
There had been a conversation that he was given some small duties, but then it had been taken away from him.
Okay, do you know if he had worked that day?
That I do not recall.
Okay, and do you know if he had?
I'm not trying to be funny, but Ken is really grasping at straws. At the end of the day, there's a missing child. And if he missed a sandwich, I get it, but it's like, come on now. The lady's doing her job, and your client, you told them not to talk, and they came to talk to him, and he sat up there for an hour or two, 3, and talked to the people. That's not her fault. She's doing her job.
Had actually been to sleep.
That's all
prior
I'm
to
going to
this.
say.
When we talked to him, he didn't seem sleepy.
Do you know if he had anything to eat prior to your visit?
I get it, but they didn't force him. I mean, he agreed. I guess they asked him. He said okay. He probably wanted to. Jarvis doesn't look like the sharpest knife in the drawer. Jarvis seems a little slow.
He did not complain about being hungry.
Yeah, we're going to pass volunteeriness.
Thank you. Now, this interview with Mr. Butts on May 31st, 2024, was that recorded in any way?
Yes.
And how was it recorded?
It was recorded with a body worn camera from the Detroit Police Department that were issued, and it was also recorded on a audio recording for voice only.
Okay. So is audio and video on the body cam and then also just
Yeah, so
audio?
2 different factors.
Okay. So, and it's fair that you had seen this video prior to today?
Yes.
Okay. And when you saw that video from May 31st, 2024, was that video a fair and accurate depiction of the video interview that took place?
Yes.
And I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 27.
Any objection?
No objection.
It will be admitted as People's Exhibit 27.
Thank you. And for the audio, do you have a chance to prior listen to that?
Yes.
And was that audio a fair and accurate depiction of the audio that was recorded from the interview back on May 31st, 2024?
Yes.
And I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 28.
Any objection?
No objection.
It will be admitted as People's 28.
Thank you, Judge. And you also interviewed him. Well, let's go with the 31st. Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
And I made clips this time. I'm not going to play the entire video. And for the record, this is from Exhibit 26, and it's clip 1.
The sound is horrible.
And this is clip 2.
I can't hear anything he's saying.
He is very quiet. I don't know if it's my volume that has to go up.
Let me try turning it down.
You need to plug your computer into the system. Do something. The sound is horrible. It's awful.
Give me a try now. This is starting it for clip 2.
I'm not trying to be funny, but that police department, they better get an audio video specialist because these days, I mean, that type of audio, unless they're gonna transcribe it and put CC on, we can't. I mean, it's like, I don't know if it's the lights. I don't know what that extra sound is. It some sort of the HVAC system near the microphone? But baby, that sound is so horrible. And then he talks like this, my name is Jarvis Butts, all player type voice. Baby, we can't make a word out. Okay, we're gonna try. Let's keep going. But it sounds worse than a VHS. Remember those things they used to have, those beta, not the big videotapes, but they had something before that, but they went out real quick. Girl, it just sounds like a mess. It's terrible. Okay. They better get their new funding for 2025. They better ask the president to fund some new audio video, okay? Because these days we need it 5K and we need top-notch audio. Girl, we got top-notch audio in our phones. Those body cams and those cameras in these rooms should be impeccable, as much taxes as we pay, okay? On the strength of our taxes, when we are watching these interrogations in the public buildings, we need something that matches up with the taxes that comes out of our check, okay? Out of our good checks. All right, let's keep going. All jokes aside, but I mean, I'm not joking. These videos though are such an important part of proceedings these days that it really does need to be crispy, because you know what I'm saying? Like, the receipts matter, right?
Now, in
Girl, turn that shit off.
Mr. Butts was talking about him keeping his distance given his history,
Yes,
and that he tried to help as best as he could with flyers.
that he was trying to help with.
Hold on. Did Jarvis say he was passing out flyers? Wait a sec. Did Jarvis tell the police officers that he handed out flyers? That's what I hadn't heard this.
Flyers regarding.
Best as he could with keeping his distance given his history.
Yes,
And that he tried to help as best as he could.
So he was keeping his distance considering his history, but you were texting her. You were being inappropriate with her. You decided to keep your distance from other people, even though they spotted you at the school. What? I mean, does that even make sense? You were trying to keep your distance. Now all of a sudden you're trying to keep sex offender policy. He needs to stop.
With flyers.
that he was trying to help with flyers regarding Miss Ivy and missing. Yes.
Now I'm going to play clip 3.
One of the allegations is that I was supposed to be in the area, she was the potential international in the area at the time. Did they say why they came to you, or you just contact you?
I bet you there is not one person in Detroit who can testify to say that he actually handed them a piece of paper that actually was a flyer. That's a whole lie. I don't believe that one little bit.
Anytime we start texting, she texts me,
Girl, let me tell you, so I would be so mad if that was my audio. That's about like when I was downtown at the federal building and got Peter coming out of his court case and my microphone was turned the opposite direction. I was so mad. You can't even hear him.
He talks mostly about that there was some text messages. He would have the girls come and clean, be at the shop, and he would have work for them.
Yeah, he was talking about, he would pick up the kids, he would give them a little bit of money, and they would come clean up and tidy up the shop.
Okay. And that he believes it's normal for her to text him for work.
Yes.
Now,
I believe that. I think based on what we've seen and what we've heard, there seemed like let's just say you have the immediate family and then you have the extended family. We'll just include Annette, her kids, and in the immediate family. Annette's, her kids, and the little kids, right? The cousins, the aunties, like Annette's cousins, Shannon's cousins, the aunts. So like, let's just say Annette's sister, let's just say the immediate Annette's kids on down, right? Them people didn't do shit. Okay. In my opinion, I don't know that for a fact because I wasn't there, but I'm saying my gut tells me they didn't do shit. Okay. Now the family at large, the cousins, the aunties, everybody who has the same last name, they got the same, they have, the family resemblance is there. All the people that look like them people, all the Harris family at large, I'm sure they were very concerned. They were looking. People were genuinely like, oh my God, Naziah, wow. Oh my God, look, what can I do to help? What's going on? All of those things. Meanwhile, Annette's over there giving wrong clothes out, giving out the wrong clothing identification. Nobody's telling anybody that Jarvis was the last person to be seen with Naziah. Jarvis is over here pretending he handed out flyers. Shannon's over there messaging Roxy, who's the one who's really kind of been the family spokesperson and really getting like social media awareness, news awareness, things like that. Telling her that Naziah was out getting some D. Just disgusting. So Annette, I blame Annette on down, and I'm talking about Annette, her kids, the cover up. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. From the fact that when Annette said in her testimony, okay, first of all, Annette was at the press conference on Valentine's Day talking about she couldn't sleep. But you got a good sleep the night she went missing. The night she went missing, you said she didn't come home. Y'all made a decision. You're going to go to the police the next day. And you said, when I got up, you didn't say I didn't sleep all night. I cried all night. I was looking out the window. I kept calling people. I was calling her phone. I walked the floor. I sat in the kitchen, made coffee all night. You didn't say anything like that. You said, when I got up, I got the other kids dressed, and then we went to the schoolhouse to report her missing. But then now all of a sudden on Valentine's Day, you can't sleep. But the first night when she probably needed your help the most, when God only knows what was happening, the torture, whatever happened to her was someone that she probably thought that she could trust because, damn it, he is her auntie's baby father. He's the father of all her cousins over there at that house. And she probably thought he was a trusted adult, even though in our minds, we know that that's not true. He was a predator. But in her mind, as a young lady who was being shown all the wrong things by every person who was an adult in that house, the grandmother, the aunt, everybody doing the wrong shit and showing her the wrong shit. She probably thought she could trust him. So at whatever point when he betrayed her trust, Annette took her ass to sleep. And then Shannon's texting him talking about she never came home. Well, why? Okay, why would you text Jarvis? He's not a interactive, quote unquote. He's nothing to you, really. He's your baby father. He's not even really her uncle. I mean, he would be your uncle if he married Shannon, but he's not her uncle. So why were you texting him? Was he supposed to get up out of his bed over to the other girlfriend's house to go look for her? Why? I would ask the police. I would want to know, as a police officer, why did you text him? Since Jarvis didn't live with you and he wasn't interactive, according to Annette, because he's a sex offender, because Annette damn near runs a group home at the house and gets state money. So she knew she didn't need to have a sex offender in the property, even though he was all up in the property. Why did you text him? What was he supposed to be doing? That's what I want to know. Why text Jarvis? Who is he? He's nobody but your sex offender baby daddy. And he's not supposed to be up in the house anyway, according to probably all kinds of certificates and all kinds of shit they probably got to have on the front door, because damn near Annette got a fucking group home
Clip
full of her own damn kids.
Now, he's referring to seeing a text message, but being busy.
Yes.
Okay, tell me what was that about?
When I believe that when she was texting him, he's referring back to when he was interviewed with Detective Mays and Johnson about the messages that she had texted him. And that he had assumed that he was gonna be picking them up by the grandma's house, and he hadn't replied because he was busy working. And then he finally replied with, okay.
Now, you also interviewed Mr. Butts the next day. You came back the next day.
Yes,
What's the reason you came back the next day?
we had some more questions.
Okay, and was he once again? I guess was he still constrained by that advice of rights?
We had him sign another one. He read another one that day and he signed it that day as well. I'm pretty sure, or we showed him this and he agreed to it. That's what it was. This was the paper. We showed him, he agreed to it, he understood it, and he continued to talk.
Okay, so you were using that same form.
Yes,
Okay, and once again. Sorry. Okay, and once again, he acknowledged his rights,
yes,
and he did continue to speak with you.
yes,
Okay, and he didn't mention anything about not wanting to speak with you.
correct.
And did he give you any reason in your experience to think that him speaking with you wasn't voluntary?
No,
And just what's it? You know, I'd pass for voir dire to voluntariness for the June 1st statement.
Sergeant, do you recall on June 1st, you were with your partner Sullivan? You didn't have him sign a form.
I saw it, but I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it on here because yeah, that's her story. You know what I mean? I don't not believe it. It just tells us more of what we already know. It's unfortunate that Annette and her offspring all seem to have some sort of perversion that has now led to a homicide in the house. So I believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah. I believe it. I believe it's possible and I believe something happened. you know what I mean? I don't think anyone in that household seemed to be above and beyond those type of shenanigans. Okay, messing with people, messing with children, um, doing weird shit, and turning a blind eye, being complicit, all of that. They seem to be cut from that. So yes, a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing and hearing about, I'm not going to say I will never talk about it. But if it's got to do, this is such a awful case, and it's a missing child. I'm really trying to avoid some of the gossip, the I don't want to say the gossip, but things that I can't substantiate that's not happening in court. But yeah, I got my eye on it. I've heard it. I believe it is definitely possible. And the young lady, it's Sierra, right? I watched it. I think I watched it live that night, but I didn't talk about it. It wasn't really anything for us to talk. It's not part of the case at this moment. It just further expands and tells us more about what was going on with that grandmother and her two weirdo ass twin daughters and all that shit. I mean, it's just a mess. It's a mess. So I could believe it.
Well, we had presented this back to him. We had this form, advised him that this was still, he understood his rights, and he agreed.
So your words, I believe, were, you remember the form you signed yesterday. You still understand that?
Did I say that, or
No,
did Sergeant Sullivan say
Sergeant
that?
Sullivan said that.
Okay. You want me to say what Sergeant Sullivan said?
No, you went with your partner and
I got that impression too from the text messages that that Naziah and Janiyah, yeah. That's the vibe I got. That's the vibe I got. He'd already solicited something like that on a few other occasions. I know it's like awful subject matter because most of us don't want to think about children, our children, other people's children in that way. But this sick pervert, um, it was happening. It was all happening, right? Any almost any sick, disgusting thing that you could think of to make a child not be a child, I think was potentially happening up under that roof. So
you understand that nobody had him sign anything that day.
That he was re-advised of the rights from the form that he had signed the first day, and he was shown the form, and he agreed to continue to talk.
Are you sure he was re-advised or told you remember signing a form yesterday?
You would have to play to hear the exact, I can't tell you the exact words that Sergeant Sullivan said. I don't recall his exact words.
So, Your Honor, I'm going to object to this. As I recall hearing this tape, there was no reading of rights for the second date. The only thing that happened on the second date was he was advised, do you recall signing the form yesterday? Yeah, that still applies. That's not.
Do you want to play it so I can hear it?
Sure. You want to play June 1st, beginning, probably the first 5 minutes.
I just hope by the time they go to trial, they can get somebody in the audio video department to clean up this audio. I think she also mentioned that this could have been the audio from the actual room, but she said that whenever they were in the room, they also use the body cam video. So hopefully the body cam video probably will be much better, more crispy. Because that audio at the jail, baby, that camera is horrible.
Sorry, hold on. This is 5:31.
They're letting him read him his rights. Okay. Girl. They were low key probably trying to give him a basic literacy test. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. If you do not have an attorney, one will be appointed to you.
This is not like we're gonna talk in 2 minutes to get out of here, right? It's, I'd like to talk to you, right? I'd like to get a little, for sure. If there's things that we're along, you don't want to talk about, specifics, let's get that done about this. Is that fair? Honestly, there's no, I'm supposed to start at the beginning, but I'm not supposed to start all figuring out. There's just a lot of things going on. We're involved in some of it, we're just trying to do like our line grab council. Is that fair? Okay, you can provide us the do me a favor, actually,
You know what it sounds like to me? She probably, you guys know when you go, like you're at work and you plug your computer in, you're in a conference room and you plug your computer in to, hey, Life of Destiny, hey, boo, how are you? So you know when you're at work and you use the cables to plug into the TV so you can run your computer if you're doing like a presentation or whatever. And before I would imagine everybody Bluetooths now, but let's just say you're using the cables and you run your audio, you're playing the audio from your computer instead of fixing the audio to the device that you're now plugged into. It just sounds like her audio is running from her computer and it's probably bouncing off the microphones. She probably needed to switch her audio to whatever monitor is showing, or if they have overhead monitors. It just sounds, yeah, it's an echo. I think her audio is bumping off of microphones and stuff like that. It's not running through the audio video system. It's running probably off of her computer. It's bad. She probably needed to adjust the audio. Girl.
And I would
Okay.
also argue that another form is not actually needed, or right, or there was nothing that would be.
I'll drop you guys the link to this video. That way, if you want to go back and watch it, but trust me, it's bad.
Ambiguous or unequivocal, that there doesn't need to be another form signed. And Mr. Butts is clearly aware of his rights, as he stated. And he is the one who agreed to be okay with not signing another form and not going through with that.
And Your Honor, I would argue that just because he may know his right does not dispose the government of their duty to make sure that he is read, understands his right each and every time they interview him.
Well, reading the Miranda is the most important thing. I feel like we saw that in the thing with Sarah. Was it Sarah Boone too, where she had her rights read to her multiple times, and they were trying to it was like a minor. I wouldn't say it was minor, but it was more like a department protocol versus her actual rights. So the Miranda, it might just be Detroit's policy to have them sign a paper stating that they read their rights, but constitutionally, you just need to have your Miranda rights read. Sometimes states or cities, they go above and beyond the law. The law is the Miranda right, period. It was read, he understood it, he waived it, that's it. Signing a paper might just be protocol procedure, not necessarily like the law.
So the fact that they may think he knows his right does not mean that they aren't supposed to read his right, make sure he.
Well, you can't, if that's your argument, just because he agreed to it and he signs it still doesn't mean he understood it. There's plenty of dumb people that sign papers every single day.
Understands and make sure that they're accurate before he.
Just because, I
That's
mean,
not a knowing
signing it doesn't make a
voluntary waiver.
difference.
And Judge, I would just say that Mr. Butts was not even under arrest for this case. There was no rights even needed.
Yeah, they testified, they
He was
took,
in County Green for something else.
he was in County Green somewhere else, but he was not in his cell. He was not on his floor. They took him to another place where he was not free to go.
Well, he wasn't free to go because of another reason, Judge, not because of anything to do with this case.
So I also learned, I heard him saying there that he went to Wayne State for college. So that
That's correct, Judge.
question of whether or not you can understand is out the window for me.
Okay, so he has some college, okay?
The male detective did offer and said that he might as well do a different form, a new form for today. And the defendant, Mr. Butts, said it wasn't necessary, not those exact words. He said it's the same rules. If you don't want to talk, you don't have to. And are you familiar with your rights? And asked him that, and he said yes. I don't see if there was anything that was not voluntary about that interaction. So I'm going to find, or I'm going to deny your objection and find some voluntary.
Thank you, Judge. And Sergeant Jones.
Period.
that, June 1st interview was audio recorded,
Yes,
and it was also video recorded,
yes,
just like the day before.
correct.
And that video, we've just seen a clip here. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the video statement that you took back on June 1st?
Yes,
Open the People's Exhibit 29.
Any objection outside of the one already?
Outside of my standing objection.
Yes, it'll be admitted.
And it was also audio recorded.
yes,
And you had a chance to review that audio.
yes,
And that was a fair and accurate depiction of the audio recording of the interview back on June 1st.
yes, ma'am.
And I would move for the admission of Exhibit 30.
With the same standing objection, I would admit it.
Thank you, Judge. And now I also have clips for this. And Judge, do you mind if I sit while I?
No, I don't mind.
I'm just gonna say if the audio is bad, we're just gonna have to run through this because it's bad. But let's see.
Sorry. Yes, from Exhibit 29.
Straightforward, I mean, when I asked you, I'm not telling you, I'm asking, did you see her? Okay, so
And you were, Mr. Butts asked if he saw her.
Correct.
Who was he referring to?
Messiah,
Okay, and when were we talking about? Denied seeing her when?
on the 9th of January, 2024.
And I'm playing clip 2.
And yeah, I think I'm going to object to the form request.
What's
Yeah,
your objection?
all we heard was, did you see her? I don't think there's enough context for her to make that statement. This is what they were talking about. If that's the question that was asked, I just actually go back a little bit further and play the exact question and answer.
I'm sure, Mr. You have the full interview.
I do, Judge, but it's 3 hours long.
I don't need to hear the full interview, but if she's going to answer from the simple question, did you see her? The answer is no, that all this other information applies. I'd at least like to hear that. That's all I'm saying.
Judge, I would say that this entire interview is admitted. If the court wants to review that, I mean, I can go back a little further. It just might take 1 second.
Okay, this is what I did. Okay. I went over to Judge Sabri's Zoom and it sounds much better. Hold on a second. Let me see if we can get over here. Where are we at? 5? Are we at 5? 504. Let's see. you're going to be like, what? It sounds so much better because this was like in the actual Zoom. So this is the audio that's coming through the system versus the TV station. So it's a different audio patch, if that makes sense. It sounds much, much better.
I do, Judge, but it's 3 hours long.
I don't need to hear the full interview, but if she's going to answer from a simple question, did you at least like it?
Just might take 1 second. Couple seconds back.
Did I ask you, I told you? Can I ask you, I mean, everything you've been saying is straightforward, can I ask you if, I'm not telling you, I'm asking, like, did you see her? Okay, so, that's something.
Judge, I would just say for context, the officer can talk about who they are talking about in general.
Just ask the question.
Who are you guys talking? Who are you and Mr. Butts and Sergeant Sullivan talking about in this interview?
Isaiah Harris.
And if there's someone else that you're talking about, do you mention them by name?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, overruled.
And then two.
When did she go missing, January? Ninth? So, if you know, like, how long, when was the last time you saw her before that? Like when did she be, you know? I want to say like 2 days before. 2 days before? Okay. Yeah. 2 days before I said like. You were all at the house, because you're kids. I'm all the time. Yeah.
So he lied to law enforcement and said that the last time he saw Naziah was 2 days before something. So if the last time he saw her was 2 days before, I hope he's not talking about the 9th. That's good. I mean, we all know that you saw her the 9th because your sister saw her. The ladies in Ypsilanti, King, aka Cordell's baby mom's mom, and the baby mom's sister saw Naziah. And Naziah's glasses were in the back seat of Latricia, who loaned him the car. So, girl.
And playing clip 3.
He said something like he was on tether. Okay, so the Michigan Department of Corrections sent us this stuff, and they said, hey, this is where I was, right? He had to be in by 9 o'clock. Yeah, but he had talked about a day, I don't remember which day it was, but he had talked about going out to Ypsilanti to drop a car off that was repaired. And he had mentioned you were there, and he mentioned Zion was there. But I didn't know, that's why I'm asking, I'm not telling you, I'm just mentioning what he's saying, I'm not saying that, right? But,
Playing clip 4.
okay. You drove it? Okay, was anybody with you? I don't know, like I said, was there a little girl with you at all, or a younger lady with you at all? You were by yourself? Did he drive over also? What did you do? Oh, okay, no, I'm just wondering if it was like his car or something. Oh, okay.
And clip
Y'all,
5.
the fact that he lied and said that he did not have Naziah with him to go to Ypsilanti, he didn't see her for 2 days. That's bad because, I mean, obviously, to me, that's just, yeah, I mean, you're going to sit there and lie to the cops about that you even saw her and she was all up at the shop that day. Your sister saw her. The ladies in Ypsilanti saw her. It's like, come on. That doesn't even make any sense. Even though you're a sex offender, there's plenty of sex offenders that still deal with kids that aren't sex offending them, right? Um, the fact that you can't even say, yeah, she was there, she was at my shop, but I took her home, or she went home, I sent her on her way, I told her, whatever the lie would be. But the lie, the lie on top of all lies is that you didn't see her and you were definitely with her. That's, yeah.
Alright, so like that night, like after you dropped off and did all that stuff, did you hotel or did you stay at home that night? No, no, no.
And clip 6.
How she would text you? Off a phone. But they said she didn't have a phone. It was a phone. So she texted you from a phone number? Yeah. Or from an app or from? I don't know if it was an app or it was anything. She would text directly to your number. It was a phone number.
Could it come in as a phone number? Like he said, I believe it, like the technology is kind of aware, but it was coming in as a phone number. Alright, okay. That makes sense.
I would get a call from the number.
Okay, same number?
Yes.
Okay, is it locked in as her? Okay.
So maybe.
And clip 7.
Like that's your phone and that's her number she's texting you from, right?
She's texting this is my number. This is.
I'm gonna pause at 7 seconds. What is it that you are showing Mr. Butts at this time?
We printed out a copy of the text now messages.
And would those be the ones from people 16 to the 231 number?
Yeah.
Continuing from 15 seconds.
It's going out here. And then if it's sent, that means that she sent it. And if it's received, that means that he replied. Something too bad, powerful. So this is from a text now app, is what they told me. Okay, so I don't know what that is, but I know it's a phone.
Yeah, that's very okay.
Yeah, so.
It converts to a phone number.
Okay, so that.
He knows what damn text now is. You know what it is.
And clip 8.
Yeah, that's what I explained to them.
Okay.
But this is a weird one here, like from her, like send okay if you've seen this message, so I can delete your number. Yeah, that's all. I didn't understand what that meant. Like she's deleting the messages. Like I didn't understand what that meant. Like I thought what you said, and you just responded. I said okay. Like okay, I don't meet you, but I'll be over to the house when I get done. You know, sure. So I'll be over there to give you that money. So that was, you know, I would never. I would pay them maybe that day or so.
Okay.
Or I'll pay them
the next day.
the next day or so. You know what I mean? So
How much would you typically?
And clip 9.
Didn't know if she was.
but so you say you saw her like 2 days before she went missing. Did she look fat to you? She didn't look bigger, like she might have been showing. Was she wearing baggier clothes? You didn't notice anything different, like face getting rounder? No, you just saw her. I mean, when you see somebody every day.
I mean, you're a man with damn 20 kids. You don't know when a young lady looks like she's gained 20 pounds. You don't know when a young lady looks pregnant. You don't know when, you don't notice when a baby goes from looking like a baby to looking like more like, you know, they're getting into adolescence. I mean, we as parents, most people notice like, oh, you're losing your baby face. When kids go through that time in life when they look like a baby and then they start to get kind of like their child face, and then they go from child to, oh my God, you're really growing up. Those times that we look at our kids or look at our relatives and notice like they've just changed. They've gone from one stage to another. They don't look like a baby anymore, or they don't look like a child. They start to look like a teen. Those changes. It's like, How are you going to say you didn't notice? You notice. He's just trying to, to me, the thing is that he's trying to distance himself so much from Naziah to not look guilty. It actually makes him look more guilty because it's all lies. It's all lies that he's telling law enforcement.
You don't recognize the change. When you see somebody and then you don't see them for a month, you're gonna notice. She looked the same to you. You never heard
She
about
looked
her
the
being
same to
pregnant or
me.
anything
Why does he sound like Jennifer Williams' husband? She looked the same to me.
like that?
So last she said something, but I was like, what? She like, I remember what she was saying. It was like she wanted to get pregnant. It wasn't what she was pregnant with. So I was like, girl, I beat your ass like that. You know what I mean? And she was like, I was trying. See, that's the opposite. That's
Look, 10.
So,
Go back and play that one more time, the last one.
Yes. Replaying clip 9.
but so you say you saw her like 2 days before she went missing. Did she look fat to you? She didn't look bigger, like she might have been showing. Was she wearing baggier clothes? You didn't notice anything different, like face getting rounder? No, you just saw her. I mean, when you see somebody every day, you don't recognize the change. When you see somebody and then you don't see them for a month, you're gonna notice. She looked the same to you. You never heard about her being pregnant or anything like that?
So last said was, she said something, but I was like, what? She like, I remember what she was saying. It was like she wanted to get pregnant. It wasn't what she was pregnant with. She like, I was like, girl, I beat your ass like that. You know what I mean? And she was like, I was trying. See, that's the opposite.
He said she said something like that, and he said, "Get out of here." We'll have to go back. And he said something about I'm beat your ass if that's true.
What she was saying. It was like she wanted to get pregnant. It wasn't what she was pregnant with. She like, I was like, girl, I beat your ass like that. You know what I mean? And she was like, I was trying. See, that's the opposite.
So Naziah told you, why would she, if she didn't tell her grandmother, she didn't tell her auntie that she was pregnant, why would she tell you, the random uncle, well, not even uncle, the random baby father play uncle, the man who fathers all the kids up in that house? Why would she tell you and not tell her grandmother and tell her aunt or anything like that? Why would she tell you, sir? Unless you're the father. He's stupid.
So, this, even though it's deleted, right, this is all from the same app. And I want to make it clear though, I read through them and I see a lot of them where she's kind of an initiator on a lot of things. And I get she's young and she's an initiator. And I also get there's history, you guys have a relationship with each other. We're not going to, when I say we're coming to a fork in the road, what I'm trying to say to you is stay on the same path with me, okay? Because you're hurting, you are hurting with all these people coming forward. Your daughter coming forward is hurting me, yes? Okay. Don't separate or stay on the path with me because your children that are out there are hurting because they're seeing all this stuff, right? Don't let this be the next thing that they're going to see. And this is, we can go over this together, and if you have any questions, we can talk about it, okay? So this starts here in March. 2023? Yes, 2023. And this is where she's identifying who she is, okay? And this number here, it's all your number. And it's all your number throughout all the pages, okay? over here is the column that says whether the person deleted the message or not. But when we talk about the nerds, once you put something out there on the internet, it's there forever. And it's on a device, and it's in your email, and it's on your account, and it's on jarvisgoogle.com. And everything that you've searched is on there. All this stuff is leading to this. And I think that there has to be a way to break the pattern. And I'm trying to get you to stay with me to break this pattern. Because this pattern has been going since when you got locked up. And it may have started before that. But I think you got a lot of heavy on you. There's a lot of heavy right here that you're holding in. And it's here.
I think they were probably trying to use one of those techniques to try to like, hey, we're here to help you. Why don't you unheavy your load and tell us what's really going on? Probably to lead up to like, tell us where Naziah is, tell us what you did, tell us how we can find her, let us bring her home, that type of thing. Okay, guys, I have got to go get my kid. This is about another, let me see. We got probably about another 30 minutes, but it goes into the following day. If you guys want me to come back, I can. It's not I already made dinner yesterday for today. So I can come back. And we can finish this up. Now, the next part of the testimony is when she reads all those text messages. And that's very heavy. But we can watch the rest of this video. We can watch the next day into the next video. I mean, you know what I mean? Like the next day is all of the text messages. I mean, we can do, if you guys want the text messages too, where she goes through like the laundry list of all of the text messages. I just want you to know it's very heavy and it's not pleasant. It's going to really put you off. I'm not joking. Like for me, it was just kind of like, I would forget for a second that it was actually, it was that it was a child, but she had been conditioned into this. And this guy was probably, he's just disgusting. You know what I mean? So it's really heavy. If you hadn't heard it, I just want to warn you. And I'm not even going to break through. We just let it play. Just let it play. And you know what I mean? I'm not, it's awful. Okay. All right. Let me go get my kid. It'll be 2 hours. It'll definitely be like 5 o'clock because I promised I would take her to tomorrow. I would take her to Marshall's. It's gonna be like 5 o'clock. So I can't take the text. Yeah, the texts are tough. The texts are a lot. The next day though, let's see. All right, so where are we at right now? 157. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just see something. I gotta go get my baby. She's waiting on me in a few minutes. Okay, so the next day they come in, I think they go back with the videos again. I go back, the videos last for almost another it's probably almost another 45 minutes of the interrogation video before it gets into the text messages. And the text messages, I feel like, let me see if I can pull this up, make it big. So she gets off the stand, and then that's when Judge Sabri gives her admonition when she gets in Jarvis's ass. Hold on. It's the text messages that I think really, I mean, I think the whole thing pissed Judge Sabri off, but once she heard those text messages, that was pretty much it. She was like, I'm getting ready to get you. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah. It'd probably be about another 2 hours if we go live with everything. If it's with the text messages, it's probably almost another 2 hours. Yeah, this wasn't for a normal girl her age wouldn't be saying all that. Even a young lady who may have a boyfriend, stuff like that. There's 13, 14, they're not doing all that. That was something that probably Jarvis like taught, you know what I mean? Like you guys already know what happened. He taught her that stuff. Oh, it's bad. Anyway, okay, guys, I'm gonna let y'all go. Hit the thumbs up for me if you would. I appreciate it. Likes do matter. Likes help a lot. And thank you guys for supporting all the, everyone who subscribed. Everyone who subscribed, period, because it doesn't get to be what it is without each and every one of you guys. So I just want to thank you guys for supporting this channel and keeping us continuing to grow. So it's very much appreciated. Okay, guys, give me a minute. Tomorrow's my husband's birthday. So Farrah wants to go to Marshall's for a minute. And then I won't be away from you guys too long. Just give me till like right about 5 o'clock and then we'll get it back started. But we'll watch the rest of the interrogation, and if you have to dip for the text messages, I completely understand because it's harsh, but I guess it is the reality that is this type of situation. And then it goes into Judge Sabri's admonition of Mr. Butts and his binding over, and the binding over that will have the bind over that has happened and that will go into March 7th. So that's it. The kids dancing looks like yeah, she did look thick in the middle. I'm not going to say she looked like she gained a lot of weight, but she was definitely giving thick around the middle. She was giving 13-year-old body, and it was giving almond, that almond shape. She didn't look like she had gained a lot of weight. She looked like she was growing a baby. That's exactly what it looked like. It didn't look like she had all of a sudden gotten, that she had went up 4 sizes. It looked like she was pregnant. It definitely looked like she was pregnant. I could see it right away with the sweatshirt. She was thick right in her middle. That was it. Otherwise, she looked exactly the same. Okay, guys, let me let y'all go. I gotta run. I will be back. Just give me about 2 hours. Okay. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Thanks for joining me this afternoon, and I'll be back in 2 hours.